Hey everybody, it's High Frequency Friday. It is Sarah Krippner here, and I am getting ready. Well, I'm going live. Gonna give it a few minutes, see if we get anybody who jumps on here. They are doing some construction on the building here today, so I plugged in my headphones. Hopefully you guys will not pick up any of the drilling and loud noises that are going on outside the window. So, all right, we're just gonna wait a little bit longer here. See if we get anybody signed up. So how is everybody doing? You feeling like you got some high frequency going since last week? Did anybody try wheatgrass or apple cider vinegar? I hope you did. Last week we talked a little bit more about foods and how foods or what you eat can affect your frequency. And there's certain things that are a little bit more high vibe that are better for you, better to raise that vibration, nurture that environment inside your body to create healing. So food is definitely a huge component to feeling good, to looking good, to having a good outlook, because there's lots of foods that are high frequency. But we also talked about a little bit, we touched on what you are or are not eating and your emotions around it. So today we're going to dive in a little bit deeper into your emotions and how those affect your frequency. So kind of going along with what we talked about last week, let's say you are eating something that you've been kind of taught by society is not great for you. Like, it hurts you, it's gonna be bad for your digestion, makes you gain weight, whatever it is, it's not organic. And you feel, though, it is difficult to pull that food out of your diet. And while you are eating it, you are beating yourself up. You're putting that blame and that shame and the guilt and I shouldn't be doing this. Well, you're kind of creating a double whammy inside your body. So that's why I really wanted to talk about emotions today. Emotions are super important when it comes to changing your vibration, literally. So if you are waking up every morning and you're taking the time every morning to spend a little time focusing, ooh, Lisa, hey Lisa, you're spending a little bit of time to focus on your emotions, to do some meditation, to read a good book, to just get quiet, maybe take a walk or sit on the front porch, just spend time doing something that is going to create a high vibe, high energy. And I don't mean high energy like ecstatic, running, bouncing against the wall, but literally that high vibration, that high energy within inside you, where when you look through those eyes of that high vibe emotion of love or joy or peace or even willingness and acceptance, when you're looking through those eyes, when your vibration is high enough where you're feeling those emotions, you see only good things. That's why when you're in a good mood and you keep that good mood going, good things start happening to you. Likewise, if you're in a bad mood, you wake up on the wrong side of the bed, your back hurts, maybe you ate too much before you went to bed last night and you feel like you got a little food hangover. I've had those plenty of times. And the first thing that you do in the morning is look at Facebook or emails, and all of a sudden you're in a bad mood already and you've only been up for 20 minutes. Well, unless you decide at that moment to turn your day around, turn your emotions around right then and there, you could potentially spend that whole day in that low vibration, fear, guilt, blame, shame. Even pride is kind of a lower vibration emotion. So you can choose at any point in time throughout the day to change your vibration. You can ask for help from friends who you know will lift you up. You can just turn internally. What can I do at this very moment to move up that scale emotionally so I feel better? And when you feel better, guys, you do better. And also internally, speaking from that frequency standpoint, when you feel good, when you are in love and you are in joy and you are in happiness, your organs respond to that as well. So to give you an example, if you're driving in traffic and you get really angry because people are cutting you off and maybe traffic isn't moving as fast as you'd like it to, that anger inside of you, the longer it sits there, the longer it suppresses your immune system. Just a couple minutes of anger, maybe 5 minutes anger, maybe even a little less, can suppress your immune system for 5 to 6 hours. So the longer you stay in that feeling like things should be different than they are, this is a form of resistance. The longer you sit in that anger, the more it condenses your body's ability to heal, or it confines it. It kinks it up like your garden hose. If you kink up the energy flow inside your body because your emotions are stuck in fear and blame and shame and anger, or resistance. Again, when you're sitting in traffic and you're mad because you think traffic should be moving faster, it's a form of resistance. If you're able at that time to just take in some breaths, in through the nose, out through the mouth, and just say to yourself something like, again, if you're really in that anger, you're probably not going to jump from anger all the way up to joy. That's a huge stretch. But can you go from anger to acceptance and just say, look, I'm in traffic. It is what it is. Maybe put on some music that you can sing along to, that eventually when you're singing along to a song that you like, or song that makes you happy, or just gets you out of that mindset of that anger of where you are, next thing you know, you're like, oh, traffic's moving, right? And you're getting to wherever you need to go because you took your mind off of out of that anger position, that low vibration, and you switched it to something else. So as long as you can steadily move up that chain of emotions, and I'll post a chart that I use quite frequently that helps me show some of the ladder, the emotional ladder that we can climb to pull us out of a low vibration up into higher vibration. David Hawkins created, forget when he published this book, Power versus Force, and I'll post that as well. But he did some muscle testing, and that was kind of how he created this chart, which put a value, a number value to lots of different emotions to show you, not so much to get fixated on a number, but to show people and teach people how low vibrations keep you in a low effectiveness, a low immunity in your body, and the higher vibrations. That's not only where healing takes place, but that's also where solution takes place. So it's a fascinating book. It's a heavy book to read, but I found it completely fascinating. A lot of people use a similar chart or use that chart and have built upon it. Abraham Hicks, if you listen to any law of attraction stuff from Abraham Hicks, they also talk about this emotional scale. And they also talk about how if you're in that low vibration of blame and shame, pretty much the lowest vibration that you can get to, if you're down there and somebody tries to force you up into love, that doesn't always happen. Sometimes it does. And I'm just using love as an example because it's a pretty high, it's much higher on the emotional ladder than blame and shame. It's not the highest, but it's close. You're not always going to jump from way down there to up into love, but you want to climb that ladder. So if you're looking at the chart, blame and shame are at the bottom. Fear is actually a little bit higher. Anger is actually higher. When you're in anger, like I was just talking about in the car, you're still not healing, but you're actually getting better than where you were at blame and shame. A lot of people who are depressed are down in blame and shame, and they get to that point where they don't even feel like moving or doing anything. It's really hard to function when you're really low vibration. Not much is moving. Low vibration is slow vibration. High vibration is a faster vibration. So when you're in that low vibration and you don't feel like doing anything, you just watch TV all day, you just get slower and slower. Things start slowing down inside your body. As you start to move up that ladder to, like I said, anger, You physically might be acting out more, and although that is not your ideal state, you don't want to hang out in anger. Like I said, you're climbing the ladder. So there's always a progression. And a lot of times I've been doing coaching and being a massage therapist for 20 years, guys. I have worked with, I've heard a lot. I'm like the bartender in the healing arts because people tell me a lot of stuff. So I've dealt with emotions, but for the first 12 or 15 years, I really didn't understand them much. I hadn't really started my own spiritual journey. But emotions, we tend to think emotions are a bad thing. Like, oh, she's emotional. She's all over the place. She's reacting, or he's reacting in a way that's not right because we're acting emotionally. Well, we all are in our emotions all the time. You can't avoid being emotional. Your emotion might be different than somebody else's, but we all have emotions. But they're a beautiful thing because they are your guidance system. If you are listening to your emotions, and if your goal is to get up higher on that ladder, right? Get towards love and joy on your way up, as you rise up on that vibrational, emotional ladder, you actually start affecting the people around you positively as well. And that's what compassion is. On David Hawkins' chart, he puts love at about 500 and willingness and acceptance are at like 300, 350. So when we think of being in a situation that we don't particularly like, but you get to that point where you're accepting of it, you're in a very healing emotion. You're in a very healing vibration. Acceptance and willingness to try something different. It's a beautiful place to be. You're way closer to that frequency of love than you might think that you are. So acceptance is a beautiful spot. Willingness, like I said, willingness to maybe go on a ledge and go on a date if you haven't been dating in a while and your heart's been broken, but now you're willing to open up and give it a try. That's a healing emotion. It's a beautiful vibration. So nurture that and enjoy that and accept that, and realize you're doing your body good. And like I say, if you get up to the point where you're really vibrating at the love frequency, I'll give you an example of a couple people in history that were high vibrating love entities. Mother Teresa, Martin Luther King Jr., Mahatma Gandhi. They all frequently were even higher than that. Again, kind of looking at the scale with David Hawkins. So think of everything that they were able to accomplish largely because they were vibrating at such a high level. People were drawn to them, drawn out of the blame and the shame and the fear. And they, went along with these huge movements to create peace and acceptance and love within communities that were battling each other. And they didn't do that because they were in anger. They did that because they were in love, and they were able to affect the masses because they were vibrating at such a high level. It's really cool when you start to look at how people can affect change. And you've probably been in a situation with friends or a client or something like that where you were just so positive in such a good space and you were unwilling to drop. Let's just say, give the example a little bit better context. You have a friend who's sick or just broke up with somebody and they're just really upset. They're really sad. Okay. And you see your friend and you really want them to feel better. If you're up here at love or willingness or acceptance and you drop down to where they are and join them because you think that company down there is going to make them feel better, you're actually not really helping them out that much. It might feel like you are, but if you stay up in that high vibration love place and just do the best that you can to cover them in that loving energy, they will actually potentially shift higher, feel better without even realizing what's happening. So it's not about the words that you're saying. It's about the energy and your vibration. If I could tell you the greatest piece of advice you could ever hear. But if I'm in a crappy mood, you're not going to hear it because it's not coming from the right place. When you help people, you really got to make sure that as a healer, especially, one of the ways that I know I'm impacting my clients in the best possible way is concentrating on my energy, clearing my space, creating my good vibration before I go into a session. If I go into a session feeling like crud, I'm going to pass that on to my client in some fashion, or they're going to kind of walk out of there feeling like, wasn't as good of a massage as she normally does. I wonder what was wrong. They might not be able to notice the difference. They're not going to say, ooh, she wasn't vibrating at whatever, but they're going to just not feel quite as good. So it's just something to consider as you go into your day. And here's the tip part. Here's what you can do. I've kind of lectured you enough on all the different vibrations of emotions, but here's what I do, and I think would be an amazing thing for anybody to start doing is take some time every morning, create some kind of morning ritual that sets up their emotional base for the day. I have a different collection of things that I do that center me, that help clear out anything that I might be worried about. I take great care not to, get into TV or gossip stuff or, Facebook or what have you first thing in the morning. That might adjust my mood when I'm a little susceptible, I'm a little out of it still. So I take sometimes 10 minutes, sometimes an hour and a half in the morning to set my day up for success. And the way I look at it is that I don't have time not to do that. If I want my day to be glowing and productive, and I want to attract abundance and feel good and make good decisions and be nice to people and kind of recharge my vibrational battery throughout the day, I've got to set myself up at first thing in the morning. And it's not a pressure. It's not requirement. I do it now because I know how powerful it is. It took me a while. I had to schedule it into my day for a lot of years. Actually, I struggled to find that commitment to making this a regular part of my day. But for the most part now, I might miss a day here or there, but for the most part, every morning I do some kind of ritual to set myself up for the best possible day I can through my emotional work, through my vibrational work. And then I revisit that throughout the day as well. If I've gotten off track a little bit, I have a couple different intentional things I can do, some sayings or some different things that just help tip me back into the forward-looking momentum, the positive, the high vibration momentum before the negative emotions or the low vibration starts taking me too far the other direction. Because if you don't do anything about it, if you don't change your direction, that momentum could sweep you away and all of a sudden you're having a crappy day. So at any point in time, you can turn your day around. It's never too late. If you really, really feel like you're super low, take a nap. That's what Abraham says. Again, if you listen to Abraham Hicks, sometimes the best way or the only way to really change a downward spiraling emotion or vibration is to go to sleep. Now, you might wake up feeling that same way, but hopefully it will be deactivated enough where you can then kind of start over. But it's a conscious thing. It's an intentional thing. And but it could be a beautiful thing. So being able to kind of create whatever day that you want simply by paying attention to your emotions and paying attention to your emotions throughout the day. When you start to get off track, how can I get back on track? So that was a lot, guys. And it was a little bit longer than I planned. I hope it's something that you find useful and helpful. And so this weekend, guys, just pay attention to your emotions. Wake up tomorrow and do something intentional to feel good. And how you feel is super important. And it's never wrong how you feel is how you feel. But if you want better results in your life, if you want to feel better, if you want a better immunity, you want less sickness, you want more abundance, you want to have better relationships because you're in a better mood more often, this is the kind of work you got to do, guys. So this is part of what I do in my practice. I love talking about it. I love helping people start steering them towards this kind of work, this internal work, because it's super powerful. It's super beneficial. And it really is, it's quite simple. It may not be easy because it takes a lot of concentration, but it's so worthwhile. So I hope you guys have a beautiful weekend. Big kisses to my Lisa out there. She's watching. And I hope you guys catch the replay. And I'll be here next Friday at 12:30 for High Frequency Friday. And I haven't decided what I'm going to talk about yet, so it could be a surprise. But you know it's going to be all about vibration. So love you guys. Thanks for tuning in, catching the replay. Have a great weekend, and I will see you next Friday. Bye.